What is good, YouTube? Warstu here with a video on Avengers Doomsday. So in today's video, we've got a really interesting potential plot leak, which could actually be a theory, about the final act and ending of Avengers Doomsday, and also what the title of Avengers Doomsday means. But I've never really thought about it. But Doomsday, aka Doom, would insinuate some kind of clock down or countdown to the end of everything. That's always been a theory in the greater world. Everyone knows that. But it's interesting, and also there's some other tidbits to go over. So if you're new around here, where have you been? We've been doing this content for years. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, comments down below. I actually do reply to comments, unlike most other people. Also, if you could check us out on Instagram at Warstu to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. Check us out on Twitter, WarstuJ, and check us out on TikTok.com/Warstu. Close to 1,000 over there. So the source for this video isn't very reliable, but it's an interesting take if it's true. And we've been doing this for years. You never know what's true and what's not true. Most of the reliable information actually comes from 4chan or Reddit, believe it or not. So it's coming from someone who has blocked me on Twitter. Who hasn't blocked you? Well, there's some people who haven't. Majestic. Right, it's been translated, but it's interesting. So I'm reading this off maxblizz.com. So it says this: Reed Richards, Shuri, and Beast build device to track final incursion in Avengers Doomsday. Now, Shuri being the smartest person in, the main timeline, 616. Reed Richards definitely being the cleverest person in his timeline, sure. And Beast being the most intelligent person in the X-Men universe. Let's call it Earth X, sure. That so far makes sense. Device to track the final incursion in Avengers Doomsday. It's an interesting theory. So according to a new leak via Majestic, it's worth saying that I've asked about Majestic, and I'm not going to say who said what or who said he or whatever. But apparently this person isn't really reliable, and it's kind of regurgitated information from other people. But at the same time, there are some big so-called trusted scoopers that follow this account. Make of it what you want. Marvel Avengers Doomsday will feature a global timer that appears throughout the movie, counting down to the final incursion. The timer is connected to a device built by Reed Richards, Shuri, Beast, to track when realities begin to collapse. So it's also worth saying, on the alleged post-credit leak from a week ago or so, it's worth saying that Reed Richards, Shuri, and also Beast are amongst the survivors. They are the most intelligent people. But we do know Doomsday has to end with this whole battle world being created where everyone's going to lose all their memories, and, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is going to be the person when he takes the mask off, and they're all going to remember who him is. We've got to get to that somehow. So we know the movie will end with Doom becoming God, Emperor, Doom. Now, I like this idea. I really do. In Doomsday, the countdown will appear several times, similar to Avengers Endgame and Captain America Civil War showed locations on screen, the time. It will mark how close the heroes are to the final event, with labels like 3 days before Doomsday and 2 days, so on and so forth. So this is interesting, because as I've always said, and I get a lot of stick when I say this, Marvel movies are made for a young audience, so it has to be a comprehensive, cohesive, basic story. Now, if you look at all the Russo's movies, sure, they don't write them, but they somewhat have a say in it. You look at Civil War, you look at Infinity War, you look at Endgame. They are cohesive, basic stories that anybody over the age of 10 could most likely understand. So this does make a lot of sense. And a countdown would and should make a lot of sense. So apparently the main universes that will feature in this movie, they are kind of a cop-out, if you ask me. Obviously, the main timeline is Earth 616, the main timeline in the MCU, known as the Sacred Timeline, where most of the heroes live. Ironically, Earth 828, the Fantastic Four universe, and Earth 10005, the X-Men universe. So, thus far, making the Marvel's post-credit scene and Captain Marvel going looking for Monica Rambeau, very important. Thus far, making the Fantastic Four movie and the post-credit scene, again, very important. As previously reported by Rumours, Avengers Doomsday will feature 2 big battles in New York City. All the heroes of Earth 616 face off against those of Earth 838. The monster heroes of Earth 616 are the Avengers, Spider-Man, the Young Avengers, the Wakandians, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the mutants in a full-scale endgame fight with all the teams reuniting for a final time. Now, sure, we can't confirm or verify if this information is true, but Doomsday, everyone assumed it was about Victor Von Doom finally appearing after he was missing in his hot seat at the World Council. The Latveria seat was missing, and we see it right at the end of the movie in the post-credit scene. So if this is going to be how the third act is going to go down, most of these characters, Avengers, different teams, the new Avengers, the real Avengers, the Fantastic Four, have most likely already met each other, because the new Avengers post-credit scene, where we had the Fantastic Four ship appearing, where the new Avengers are. So there can't really be a lot of expedition in the sense of characters, Avengers, Marvel Cinematic Universe heroes meeting each other for the first time. Because if this movie is going to be, as it suggests, 3 days before Doomsday, 2 days, 1 day, and then obviously a 24-hour clock, I really like this idea. This movie has to be very simple, because we all know it's going to follow the Secret Wars Hickman run when we are going to end up on a battle world. We're getting to this point. It's just a case of how. Now, it is interesting. I can't say if this is true or not. What I can say is this sounds pretty darn cool. Also sounds pretty damn reliable. And also, if you remember, one of the first leaks we went over for this movie insinuated that Shiri is going to come up with some device in order to track Doom, as in Doctor Doom. Now, we know, obviously, Professor X, with the cerebral, can track people, right? Sure, he can track people. And it's an ongoing theory that people think Doom is going to go to the X-Men universe in order to use this device to track Loki at the Citadel, the end of time, holding everything together. So it's an interesting plot devices. And we know the Russo brothers with Infinity War and with Endgame love their plot devices. They love their MacGuffins. These movies are very simple. Like I say, they're made for a young audience, and people get really triggered when I say that. It's not going to be a very complicated, complex story. But a final incursion, clock down, time down, does sound pretty interesting to me. So, also in the news. So the boy, Chad Ryan, said this source, and he was quoting, obviously, this rumor, Shiri, Reed Richards, Beast will work together to make a machine that keeps track of exactly when Doomsday will happen, and the audience has a visual detail it will show on the screen as part of a countdown leading to the final incursion. Does make a lot of sense. Then the most reliable scooper in the game, in my opinion, James Mack says, guess what? LOL, by the way, this is fic. I guess he means fictional. Then it looks like these two got into a back and forth. Because remember we went over RDJ's big reveal the other day? Well, James Mack said, when you guys find out the Doom being RDJ is so much more simpler than you think. There isn't some huge theory or explainer behind it. Your minds are going to be blown, LOL. He's meaning your minds are going to be blown because there realistically isn't any reason behind it. Then him and this Majestic lad got into a huge back and forth because Majestic was the person who dropped the kind of, you know, storyline where when He Who Remains dies, it released the reality, it released the memories, and it actually turns out that Iron Man is a variant of Doctor Doom and not the other way around. And to be fair, that's not really a drastic reveal. So they got into this, but I love it. I love the drama, but it is funny because realistically, at this point, if we're going to go by let's keep receipts, James Mack is more reliable than the scooper person on Twitter called Majestic. So if we're going to go by let's keep receipts, James Mack has had a lot of stuff right. He got the costumes, how they look, right to a T. And I know some people say, yo, if you don't think this is reliable, why are you covering it? Because I like to cover everything and it keeps the information fresh. I can say I'm keeping up with stuff. And it's another way to engage with the audience. I kind of have a little bit of an audience here. So this is why I like to cover stuff. Now, I'm not saying either Majestic or James Mack are right or wrong, but I think it is interesting that there's not going to be a major reveal. I mean, if the video went over a few days ago is true, yeah, that's He Who Remains being behind everything isn't actually a massive reveal. It's kind of obvious, but it would be interesting if there was a way to track the final incursion, and potentially this could be true. Potentially it could. So also in the news, an account called Miss Minutes, who again is some kind of cool scooper, so-called super. I hear Toby Spider-Man was injured on the set of Avengers Doomsday. Pray for him. Then James Mack went back, quote tweeted saying, question mark, question mark, question mark. It is worth saying, they are still shooting Avengers Doomsday. Kind of. And also, this Miss Minute account said, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man, has a prominent role in Avengers Doomsday. I hear he will be a member of the multiversal Avengers team formed by Tom Hiddleston and Loki. Follow for more. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And also, there's this massive rumor going around now that RDJ is going to have a massive role in Spider-Man Brand New Day. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think if he does appear, it'll be a post-credit scene only, and Gwyneth Paltrow is playing a role in Pepper Pony Star in a Doomsday. Her role will be connected to Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I mean, that makes sense. But if Gwyneth Paltrow's role is connected to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man isn't even going to be in the movie, make it make sense. See what I mean? There's a lot of so-called credible scoopers that say stuff, and it's like, who do you believe? Who do you not believe? Spider-Man Brand New Day is directly connected to Doomsday and shooting right now at the same place. Tom Holland is in Avengers Doomsday, whether you believe... I mean, I do actually believe that he's got to be in it. Why would they not stick Tom Holland's Spider-Man in Doomsday? Merchandise sales, it just makes sense, lads. Make it make sense. Now, I know people like Daniela have said he's not in it, but he's got a massive role in Secret Wars. If he's in Secret Wars, he is definitely 1000% going to be in Doomsday, even if the role is very, very small. So that is that for this video, for sure. But I will keep you up to date with all the latest and greatest Marvel, DC, Kaiju, Monsterverse, pop culture-based content that I can. So like always, guys, I will catch you in another video very soon. Catch ya later.